Wikipedia defines fantasy as a genre of speculative fiction involving magical elements, typically set in a fictional universe and sometimes inspired by mythology and folklore, with some of its important traits being magic. With the rise of isekai, I'm sure that when you hear the word fantasy, you imagine something similar to this, or this, or was it this? Anyway, the fantasy genre has built up some sort of a negative aura around it in the recent years. It's either a usual isekai or a dungeon explorer-esque or whatever other power fantasies there are. But I can't help but think that there is so much wasted potential in this. Well, not this, but this. I am honestly surprised that we as humans still haven't evolved past this. Like, how are we still repeating the same shit over and over again? Are these shows even making any profits? It's either these shows that are really successful and I'm blind, or whoever's making this is delusional and I have a feeling that right now we are close to the next big innovation in the fantasy genre, and by close I mean sometimes in the next 10 years maybe. And something that I haven't seen done yet by the fantasy genre is modernized fantasy. Now, what exactly do I mean when I say modernized fantasy? To put it simply, imagine a generic fantasy world. Pretty easy, right? Now imagine how it would look like thousands of years later. Imagine how the existence of certain elements such as magic would affect the development/evolution of technology and human beings in general. Imagine that town, but give it a time skip to the current year. I really hope that this is getting through and I don't just sound like I'm rambling. Now, this setting does not include sci-fi. I'm not thinking of a super futuristic world, but with dragons or something. I'm thinking of a well thought out, beautifully described fantasy that is set in a modern era. Now, before I talk about why this approach could work really well, I have to clarify something. I'm only gonna be focusing on media that I've already been exposed to, which is mostly anime. Why? Because I'm lazy and I'm committed, and if I plan to research multiple shows, the deadline for this video will get pushed back more and more and... Anyway, there are a lot of aspects of the fantasy genre that could shine brighter than ever if it was set in the modern time. One great example that comes to mind is the integration of magic in technologies. Just imagine the different and creative ways that writers might use to implement magic in different technologies. Maybe magic is used as fuel. Maybe it is used as the main mechanic. The sky is the limit here. We could also look at the relations between different species in the modern world. Are there any dominant species? Is there any discrimination between different types of species? What is the stand on interspecies romantic relationships? That could go on for hours. There is also the topic of modern politics and economics. What is the prime currency in the world? Are there any countries that are still ruled by kings, or is there any democracy involved, or any other methods? Is the world at peace now, or is it in constant war? If we are at war, then what are the advancements in weaponry? Does nuclear energy exist? What about... I went on for too long there. Let's move on. The environment is also something that could shine if done right. Since magic might replace fossil fuels and others, maybe the world doesn't live in constant fear of the planet becoming uninhabitable in the future. But a twist could be pulled where it turns out that the constant use of magic is sucking the life energy out of the earth and some regulation must be applied. This might be something that only interests me, but I would really like to see how music is made in the modern fantasy world. What are the different instruments used to create music? What are the different genres that exist? Are elves dominating the idol industry? Does Weezer exist? I have a lot of questions. Alright, now that I've explained why this could work really well, let's look at some shows that got really close to the idea of a modernized fantasy. You probably know this one. After all, it's very popular, but if you don't, the general story is guy gets isekai, challenges God, becomes a war criminal. Yeah. But anyway, I want to analyze the world here because it seems like they have a pretty well thought out magic tech integration. In this world, magic existed since a while back, and with the Industrial Revolution, people made computation orbs that basically act as magic engines, which allow you to utilize magic more efficiently. They allow you to fly, guard, shoot, fire a nuclear strike from a tip of a gun, communicate, film videos, all types of stuff. Honestly, I'm fascinated by how magic works in this world. First, you might think that magic is only utilized for military work, but then you see some glimpses of it being used in a way that civilians can use it, and that just makes you wonder what this world could look like without war. This is the closest it gets to a modernized fantasy. Hell, some of you might consider that, but for me, it seems kinda lacking in the fantasy aspect. Aside from magic, there's nothing happening. Out of the ordinary, I mean. Okay, so originally I wanted to talk about how Boruto brought rapid technological advancement to the world of Naruto and how stupid and out of nowhere it was, but that led me to a shocking revelation. For some reason, I always remembered Naruto to be set in a medieval setting, but as I was researching for this video, it turns out that I was totally wrong. Apparently, Naruto has always had advanced technologies. Even more, Kishimoto himself confirmed in an interview that the technology level in Naruto is the same as it was in the 90s, just without weapons and such. So yeah, that threw me off a bit, but I still have some bones to pick with the world of Naruto and Boruto. First, I feel there's a lot of wasted potential here. In a world like this, wouldn't you think that ninjutsu can help a lot in advancing it? The whole technological boom in Boruto still kind of feels too fast, to me at least, because it feels unnatural. It feels alien to see ninjas at a fucking family restaurant. The only good use of ninjutsu and technology was the gauntlet device. That was the whole plot of the Boruto movie. It was genuinely interesting to see technology being able to replicate ninjutsu, even if it was short-lived. Also, remember when Kishimoto said that he didn't want firearms in Naruto? Well, I guess he changed his mind in Boruto. Drastically. But yeah, I had the whole rant written about this, but I scrapped it out since it seems I had misremembered the world of Naruto. I am just sick of seeing every fantasy out there being set in the same generic world. With the genre being named fantasy, it's very ironic that this is happening. It's just that I don't believe that I'm the only one who had the idea of a modern fantasy. Hell, it doesn't even have to be a modern fantasy, just any fantasy that has a unique world. Any fantasy that isn't this. That isn't to say that all fantasies set in the medieval times are bad. Not at all. Even with a setting in an era like that, there's still a large room for creativity. There is still ways to make a work more unique. A recent example is Ranking of Kings. Also, I want to note again that I haven't consumed all media. There could be a show or a game out there that perfectly matches what I described earlier, and that's fine. I've been so worried while writing this script that I've missed some shows that are what I'm searching for, but I realized that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point is that there is not a lot of these shows, and there is a lot of this shit. If you made it to here, thanks a lot for watching. Sorry if this video took long. While writing this video, I ended up finishing Omori and that knocked me out for a week or two. And I feel like it's gonna have a long-lasting effect on me. 10 out of 10.